But you know what, Gary, I'll tell you something. You know, men are different.
We are very different.
Okay, so this is the challenge we have, because men are different in the sense that sometimes there are no signs.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes actually there are no signs.
You tell me there will be zero signs.
Yeah, there will be zero sign.
There has to be a sign.
No. That's why most people struggle when someone then take their own life, because people are trying to work out now. Why didn't we see it? Why were we not there? All right. So people spend then the next 20, 30 years of their lives trying to work out
that solution,
blaming themselves. Why didn't we see it? Okay. So sometimes actually there are no signs. Sometimes, right? That's why we, you know what? 75% of suicides are men, and 25% are women.
Are women, yes.
Give and take. All right. Do you know what? Women are most likely going to talk about how they are feeling more than men would do. So sometimes you get to a point whereby actually men, they don't say anything. They just go ahead and take their own lives. That's why you have to constantly check on your friend or on your brother and stuff like that. You have to constantly, not because there's a problem, but you have to constantly check on someone, so that the stuff I'm doing on reach out and talk to others.
Yeah.
The whole point is, don't reach out to someone because you think they've got a problem. Because
reach out to them when they're okay.
Even when you think they're okay, because possibly they're not okay. Do you get what I mean? So when I hear stories about, I was talking to a dad who said to me, the son was doing well. Yeah. The son was earning something like maybe 300K a year, salary-wise. Yeah. Good job, big house, everything was absolutely fine. All right? And he was talking about his future, about what he wanted to become,
wow,
things he wanted to achieve as a man.
Yeah.
But they did say a few days later, he had killed himself. Right? So what I mean, so that's why I'm saying sometimes there are no signs to tell you that someone is struggling. So for me, one thing I've learned now is just reach out, just talk to someone.
Yeah.
Because you never know that by talking to someone, you might actually make them start talking to you about something they're struggling about. So the point is, I don't have to reach out to you because I think you're struggling. Right? It's good if I know you're struggling, then I'm reaching out. But no. I should just reach out to you, right? And develop a relationship with you, Gary. So that maybe that time when you're struggling, because we've got this bond, we've got this connection, then we are able then to say, hey Chris, I'm struggling. Do you get what I mean? So for me, the challenge I'm giving to men is, don't wait until Chris is struggling, then I'm going to reach out, or Gary is struggling, then I'm going to reach out. For me, the point is,
do it as a norm.
A norm. Just make it as a norm, like picking up the phone, like, Gary, how are things today? How are you? It doesn't take much,
Do you know that is the most difficult question people never ask?
No.
We ask ourselves, hey, how you doing, man?
Yeah.
You all right?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Really.
Rarely. I remember when I was working in McDonald's,
Yeah.
I made it a priority that every shift I had a routine.
Yeah.
When it got to 9 o'clock,
Yeah.
I would go to each and everyone.
Yeah.
How are you today?
Yeah.
How was this tenders yesterday?
Yeah.
Because I know you watch his tenders.
Yeah.
Then I'll go to the next person. Did you watch the cricket yesterday? How are you doing? Are you okay? All I could do was just let people know that I'm open to any conversation. Then one day, I might say, how are you? And I can see the tear in your eye before it even comes out. Then I just what's going on, and then I pull you to the side. But like you say, to build that relationship with the people around us, be known as the person who just open door policy.
Yeah.
And they're okay.
Yeah. Because sometimes it's easier for us to, if I'm honest, Gary, it's easier for us to just say, Gary, how are you? And you know what you say, Chris, yes, I'm good. And then I've done my part. I've asked you, right? But actually for me, it's the next bit about actually, Gary, seriously, how are you? How are you doing? How are you? How
is everything okay?
Everything okay at home? How's the family? How's the wife? How are the kids? Do you know what I mean? Ask a bit more. Show a bit more interest. Not just a routine, hello, how are you? And then you're gone. It's just actually, I care about how you're doing more than just your words. So I'm going to spend a bit of time with you. I'm going to really, really ask you a bit more questions about how you're doing. Yeah. I want to say, how's work? What's happening at work?
That's
actually, man, because you know what? at some point in life, guys, we are all going to go through difficult times. At some point, you are given.
More often than not, we are in difficult times. But we are just used to living in the difficult. We think it's normal.
It's normal. And then at some point, it becomes too much. Right. So I always say, I've spoken to people who have attempted to take their own lives, and they've not succeeded. Right?
Yeah.
And trying to understand, like the process
Of how they got to that.
How did you get to that point in this big world where you've got billions of people, that you get to a point where you feel so lonely that you think actually the only alternative you've got
Is to take your own life.
and the only option you've got is to take your own life. How do you get to that point? For me, that's the biggest question. And sometimes that's when you start realizing how tough it is for people, because it's not an easy decision for someone to make. It's not a decision you're just going to make like that.
No. I think the most fundamental, as an Uber driver, I learned now, a lot of women come in the car and ask me a question and say to me, I don't understand men, or I don't understand women, or you guys don't talk. And I said, I don't think it's that we don't talk. I think for me personally, yes, men, naturally we are more guarded in how to protect ourselves. This new man, I always feel like people never take time to understand your language of speaking. So you have your way of communicating. I've made a priority in my life to spend more time coming into people's worlds to understand them. Because when I actually help you, I'm helping myself more than I'm helping you by the knowledge you're teaching me. So for me, I've always based it on that. To sort of say, okay, when I see you walking, I wonder why you're walking with a limb. What's that about? Someone doesn't even realize they're walking with a limb. They're so used to it that they're walking with a limb until you ask them. Then they say, do you know what? This leg has been hurting me. But I'm so used to it. But they've never actually had someone who stopped them, questioned them about that. It's something that now when you now talk about suicide and people take their own lives, and it's something that I think even me as a person, I've been trying to find a way that we can help men, or either have an anonymous call line where someone can call in the private of their own home and be able to talk without being judged, or what kind of messaging can go out there. Because I'm watching and reading a lot of messaging. None of it catches me. I'm a guy, I can talk, but none of the things I'm reading when they're talking about advocacy of mental health and everything, it seems to be more female supporting than it is the male. I get it, I don't talk. So you repeat it everywhere.
But the thing, we need to start from zero here, right? And then we don't have to quickly go to 100 miles an hour.
True.
Okay? The first thing is we need to make it the norm to talk about it.
I think that's the crucial part. And
Because-
stop saying men don't talk.
Do you know what I mean? We need to move. We need to change the narrative. Change the narrative from men don't talk, men don't talk, men don't talk, and move to a point where we say, actually, we're going to talk about it. There's no stigma. There's nothing wrong about you and I talking about suicide. There's absolutely nothing wrong. If I have fleeting thoughts about suicide, there's nothing wrong me saying, actually, Gary, listen, man, this is how I'm feeling, this is what I'm thinking about. Right? Make it normal that actually it's not a sign of weakness. Because that's where we need to start. We need to talk. And the thing for me is, the more men start talking about other men talking about it, the better it is for everyone else. Because some people see you and I talking, and they're like, well, these guys seem like okay.
Yeah, they're normal.
They seem like normal, but they're still talking about it. So it's this thing about actually we make it like a taboo to talk about, especially, and there's a cultural impact as well, guys. Right?
It really is.
So when I go hiking, right? Okay, once a year I go hiking in the mountains.
Is there anything you don't do?
So,
You bake, you hike.
But when I started doing hiking, majority of the guys who come to hiking were white guys.
Yes.
What you get in hiking, man, it's so good. It's so good. It's so good for your mental health. It's just so good. And then also you have a moment of spending 3 days, 4 days with other men.
At some point you're gonna talk.
Without phone, you don't have phones, you don't have no gadgets, you don't have time, nothing. You're just walking with guys, hiking up and down, up and down, up and down. You get tired. At some point, you start talking to other guys, right? What I mean is, there are certain things that actually especially we as black guys, right, we don't associate ourselves with. And
That's
we
true.
miss out a lot sometimes because the way black guys were brought up, especially African guys, we were brought up differently. This thing notion of men don't cry, you have to be strong, don't show emotions. It's a cultural thing.
Yeah.
You know, so whereas our counterparts, my friends who are white, they sort of deal with it much better. Not completely, but
Well,
they
they're
deal
not
with
scared.
it
They're
better.
not scared to come and say,
Yeah.
"I'm not feeling well."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Whereas,
they're not scared to say that.
Whereas we black brothers sometimes it's a challenge. So anyway, you know what? We can spend honestly, Terry, we can do 2 days talking about this topic.
It's still not finished.
And not still finish it, you know.
That's true.
But for me, the point is just actually this talking. That's where we need to start. We need to start talking about suicide and talk about it not like a taboo, but talk about it, reflect on it, encourage other men to talk about it. You know, so all I'll be saying to other men is talk about it. Talk about it. And also when we're checking on each other.
Yeah.
Let's not just check on people because we think there's something wrong. No, let's build relationships. Both these relationships are critical, especially when someone now is struggling.
I like that. Let's build. Let's build.
Another thing is, what I really liked on Saturday was, it was like a learning lesson for my kids. So
Yeah.
there was this kid who had walked from Ireland. He walked from Ireland to Manchester.
How long did that take?
Yeah. Oh, obviously. Yeah. You know.
Just to
And-
watch
No,
watch a game?
no, he was raising some money.
Oh wow. Okay.
So you know Rashford has been doing that work of making sure that kids
Kids
with
eat.
free meals and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then so the kid said, Rashford inspired me. So he decided to walk and raise funds to feed 50,000 kids.
Really?
So 50,000 meals. But he walked. So he arrived in Manchester on Saturday, and then obviously watched the game. But I guess he managed to raise 75,000 meals.
Wow.
His aim was 50, but he managed to raise 75,000. And then I was just saying to my kids, and my kids were really, honestly, they were really inspired because they turned around and said, "Oh, wow, this is so good, man. This is so good. This is a 12-year-old kid."
Who is doing this?
Yeah.
Wow.
Walked all the way from Ireland to Manchester.
It takes a special kind of person to do that.
Yeah.
Because I don't think
Yeah.
I could walk from my house to the shops.
I
don't think I could ever do that.
For me, that's sort of the challenge, isn't it? But it's a learning as well for the kids. So the kids, they left thinking, oh wow, this is really good. This is really good. And because I've been challenging my kids, about actually what do you do? Yeah, what do you do? So now they've got a project they're working on.
What do you want to do?
So we're gonna do a charity
Okay.
to support kids back home who don't go to school.
Huh.
Because when the last time we went to Zim, we met this woman a white woman who's supporting kids like from Fakos, Kambuzuma, Highfield, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so the target is for them is to run a charity.
So you want
They-
your
they-
kids to actually do it?
Yeah, they will lead the charity. I will support. My wife and I will support. I want them to hold it, to run it, and then to support these kids back home. Because sometimes they don't know what it is like not to have, and
Yeah, they
which
don't.
is they're in a fortunate position. But I don't want them to think life is like that, because otherwise, the other people are unfortunate. So listen to
Wow.
that young
boy.
boy. For me, it was like good, right moment, right time.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
Ronaldo hat trick.
Yeah.
Children lesson.
Yeah, listen, that's it.
But I think fundamentally the other lesson is when you go to the games, I mean, as a black person, I'm
Yeah.
sitting next to a white person.
Yeah.
There's an Asian guy just sitting
Yeah.
behind me, there's an
Yeah.
old person.
Yeah. Exactly.
And yet we are all
Yeah.
focused on that one drive.
One drive,
No
one
one
goal.
cares about whether you're a man or woman or what. We all sing the same songs.
The songs,
We all do the same
shout
thing.
when we score,
Every
we jump, and sometimes the next guy next to you who doesn't know goes like,
I know.
"You see that?"
I
The
don't
excitement.
know the names of people around me, all because of the game. But as soon as we walk out, the weird thing is, we now become separate people.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I never
yeah,
get that.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. You're right, Gary. Because when I go, like when I went and I sat in this seat, because it was someone else's seat. Because they know each other. You know,
Yeah.
they actually look around and like, oh, where is he?
Uh-huh.
Because they know each other. You know, because
They do.
they've seen each other for years and years and years.
But then it's okay
Yeah.
in that parameter.
yeah. But
As soon as
outside,
we walk out the stadium, it's as if the unity goes out the window. That is the conundrum I would love to know the answer to.
I've tried sort of to work it out, right?
And what do you think
Right.
so far?
I think it's like you said, it's the common goal that people have, right? So they're focused on that common goal. So you give people a purpose and a focus, right? It's the same thing, right? If you take a big, massive whiteboard, right, and put it in front of people,
Yeah.
right, and then either in the corner or in the middle or somewhere, and you put a mark, a black dot,
Yeah.
right? 9 out of 10
Will focus on the black dot.
they'll focus on that black dot, and they'll have an issue with that black dot. Guess what? No one will focus on the bigger piece, the white piece.
No.
They'll all focus on that, right? So it's giving people a purpose, a focus. That's why if people don't have a focus, a purpose, people struggle.
The vision.
Yeah. So someone has to set it out. That's the thing with football. That's the thing with football. Because at that moment, right, you're all focused
On that black dot.
that black dot, which is the football, right? And then guess what? If I take and rub that dot, right, people actually start focusing on other things. Their minds start wandering, right?
Because they're looking for a new focus. Do you know, I like that. I like that. You've just given me an idea. I think rewording it.
Yeah.
Because it's been a conundrum. I keep talking to people even when I'm in the car.
Yeah.
And I'm saying to them, this world has been built for us to belong into a certain box.
Yeah.
So it's either you're an Android person or an
Yeah.
Apple person.
Yeah.
It's either you like this or
Yeah.
you don't like it.
Yeah.
You have to choose.
Yeah.
There's no more option of, let me figure it out.
Yeah.
But when we come to football,
Yeah.
we are all those 70,000, even though we like different things.
Yeah.
We are all chanting the same
Yeah.
songs.
Yeah.
One guy starts in the corner,
Yeah.
and we don't know who it is.
Yeah.
We don't care,
Yeah. You
but
don't
we
care.
follow
Yeah.
that person's song.
Yeah. You don't. Yeah. But you don't care.
Yeah, no, you don't care.
Whether that person is good, is singing well, or they're not singing well. You don't care.
You don't care.
You don't care. Because at that moment, right, your mind is focused on something, and you feel you've got a purpose, and you feel you belong. But it's a bit of a belonging as well. Both feel you belong. Because at that moment, you all have one identity. Right?
Yes.
The team you support gives you the identity.
Yeah.
Right? So because you've got an identity, you belong. You belong somewhere, you're accepted.
In that environment.
Because even someone who doesn't know you say, are you enjoying the game? You're
Yes.
like, yes, I am. That's what, man. Good. Right? Do you get what I mean? It's people in football games, people move out and in and out. Some people come and be played.
Yes.
Right? So you have to stand up every time for
No
someone
one
to go.
complains.
No one complains. No one complains because guess what? We all have one identity. We've got one goal, and we all belong. So there's no a foreigner at that moment.
Thank you very much for that.